welcome to Asian Pulse. I'm your host, Shannon Permal. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. With our province finally opening up some businesses and allowing limited gathering, we're not quite out of the woods yet with this whole pandemic. It's still very important to maintain social distancing and wearing a mask when you go outside, but most importantly, wash your hands. Lately, you might have noticed lots of marches and rallies held all over the world. All of this action that was prompted by a video of a man named George Floyd. Social media outbursts and vast news coverage has led to numerous cities and countries organizing rallies to bring forward the injustices and issues regarding racism, both in the past and present, against Black and Indigenous peoples in Canada and the USA respectively. Racism is so prevalent in our society and can start off as hidden microaggressions. Today, we'll be indulging into the general topic of racism in our community. Today, we have a woman who made the news on almost every channel, and she's none other than Kiran Sidhu, a school teacher in Richmond. She'll be our guest to talk about her experience when she was faced by the wife of a Delta chief of police. I'll be right back after this. Camilla will be speaking with Kiran Sidhu, who was on the news recently in regard to how she was treated by a woman who happens to be the wife of a Delta chief of police. So please have a look.
In our studios, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Kiran Sidhu. You must have watched her in all the major channels and news in Metro Vancouver, and today she is my guest on the set, and she is going to be talking about her experience with racism. So Karen, welcome to our studio, and thank you for coming in on your days off, be able to talk to our viewers.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Karen, can you talk a little bit about yourself? I want to know your upbringing. You're born, raised here.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm like a first generation settler here. My parents came from India in the 70s, and then I was born here in Vancouver, actually. And I graduated from SFU eventually and have been teaching for about 14 years now in Richmond.
Excellent. So you're a school teacher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You live in Surrey and you travel to...
Yeah, I commute to Richmond for work. I mean, with COVID, I was working from home a lot, so that was kind of nice.
Right, and especially now, I think everybody's on vacation right now, right? School is closed now.
Yes.
So you made the news, right, very recently with the wife of the chief of police in Delta, Lorraine Dubart. And what was going through? Is this the first time you have faced racism like this in Canada? Or did you also gone through that while going through schooling? And
it's hard to avoid that, I just think that anytime we're interacting with institutions like schools or hospitals or the police or any kind of institution in society that holds a lot of power, we're going to face racism on a systemic level, even if we know it or not. So even for myself in high school, of course there was systemic racism because I went to a predominantly South Asian high school. Actually, it was quite mixed. I went to John Oliver in Vancouver.
Yes.
And all of our teachers were white, and it was just a different way. We had to code switch a lot at school in order to be successful. And, when we were kids, you don't really notice those things. As we grow up and reflect on those experiences, you can feel that. Even going to SFU, I majored in English literature. I was oftentimes the only person of color in all of my classes, and the teachers were always white, and the books that we read were very, very canonized in a way that we think is real literature written by old white men, and so these are all forms of racism. I mean, this one was a lot more blatant and a lot more on a micro level in terms of between two people, and that it was definitely more traumatic as well.
Just did it, right? So tell our audience what were you doing and what was happening on that day?
Yeah, so it was Saturday, June 6th. It was Saturday night. It was my friend Anna's birthday. we were finally getting together after being away from all of our friends, quarantining at home, just, all the precautions for COVID, of course. And we were finally getting a chance to hang out. So she was having a birthday party at the beach so that we could still maintain our social distance, but hang out and celebrate her birthday. And it was just a bunch of women, just like no kids, no husbands. It was just all of us girls getting together and having this celebration. And I had to go somewhere else, so I had to leave early. So it started around 5, and I had to leave at 6:30. So I was leaving on my own, and that's why I was alone in this interaction, unfortunately, with this woman.
So did you say you seen also the tide coming and you wanted shortcut and you climbed?
No, people seem to think that I could see the tide coming in. So
yeah, I don't know where I had that, but
no.
I did hear it.
So the thing is, I parked my car at the beach parking, went to this party.
Yeah.
2 hours later, was trying to get back to my car,
Okay.
and the tide had risen. So it wasn't moving. It was already up to like 10 feet high. There was no walking space. The only way to get through now was over these rocks.
Okay.
Yeah, there seems to be some misunderstanding
but
about
thank
that.
you for clarifying
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, no. Then I would have just waited for it to subside and walked, right? There were people ahead of me who were also doing that. There was really no other way to get through.
Okay, because you have to get to the wherever you park the car to
Yeah.
the street level
I
or
wasn't
whatever.
gonna wait hours for the tide to go back. I just don't understand.
All these things. Anyway,
Yeah,
I'm pretty good that everybody was doing the same thing. So the rocks that you climbing, were that on the public space or does it belong to them? Like, is it
So
as a property?
since this incident, there's been on Friday, just a few days ago, there was a Delta Police Board meeting.
Yes.
And one of the questions somebody submitted was, whose property were the rocks on? And the deputy mayor said very clearly, the rocks are public property.
Yes, that's what I had too.
Yeah, so it's been confirmed.
Yeah, and bias it comes out of the horse's mouth, the people that collect
Exactly.
property taxes in there. So this woman all of a sudden he just came out and they say, "What are you doing?" Right?
She said, "Get off the rocks. You can't be here. Go, get off the rocks." Was shooing me away with her hands.
Yeah.
And I said, "There's no other way for me to get through. My car's over there." And then she said, "Go through the water," but it wasn't even feasible.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, I can't. I just want to get past. My car's just around the corner there." And then she said, "Can't you read? There are signs up," and was just being rude about it. That's when I started to feel is she being racist here? And then she said, "If you come to the beach, you need to plan for these things. And if I were as fat as you, I wouldn't even be at the beach in the first place." And that was just so shocking to me. That had nothing to do with what was happening. It was neither here nor there. It was just bullying and cruel behavior, for no reason.
And she has this guts to use these words.
Yeah. Somebody
about
in this
fat oppression or something like that. What is going on with this woman?
Yeah.
And when you think of it, she is the wife of the chief.
Mm-hmm.
Is this do we live in two personalities? One to be in front of the people when we are talking in the limelight and all that, and the other one is how we are acting at home.
Yeah, it's hard not to think about that. This woman with so much privilege
Yeah.
can treat people this way, and probably has in the past and has gotten away with it.
I know. This is not the first time. I'm pretty sure. It's not an isolated accident.
I've heard that
she
it's not.
She picked the wrong person, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not somebody who's going to take that kind of abuse from someone for doing something that was not illegal and not wrong in any way.
Yeah.
And she was just being ridiculously inappropriate, especially for the position she's in. Yes, she's not in the Delta Police Department, but she's married to the chief and benefits from being in that role in her society.
And the privilege of living in $3 million home Like you and me
Definitely.
cannot afford it, not in this lifetime, right?
Absolutely not. Yes. She's got, first of all, white privilege,
Yes.
and she's got class privilege, and she's got institutional privilege because she's on the inside of this organization. And I have none of those.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't lost on me in that moment
Yeah.
that I was definitely an underdog in this situation.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I've been following you, and I didn't know you before that.
Yeah.
And you made the headline news, so I watched the news. And I said, I need to bring you in and talk about it. Because, like I said, there are so many of us. We go through this thing. And they said, okay, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. I am not going to stress out with that. But why should we not? This country
Right?
doesn't belong to white people.
No,
The only people this country belongs to is we are on stolen, unceded land.
Absolutely.
The Aboriginals are the first people of this land.
Yeah,
And
none of us
they
have
are-
a claim to
yeah.
this.
And like
But them.
sometimes I wonder that even we as immigrant, a person of color are treated much better than the first people of the land. And these people are immigrants too who
Yeah.
treated you like that.
And we can't, like, we also benefited from
Yeah.
the treatment that they've gotten in the
Yes.
erasure of genocide of their culture. And you know, we benefited because we are not treated as badly so openly by the government, but you know,
By the institution, yeah.
but we
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
still face this kind of systemic and also personal racism from
Mm-hmm.
people. And all of us, everyone I've spoken to since who is like a BIPOC person has also shared their experience with racism. And I think it's great that it's starting lots of conversations, and I'm happy that I spoke out for that reason.
Yeah, and you have a lot of people. They might not come and join you in rallies, but their thoughts are behind you and they are with you. So never give up. And this is what the Black Life Matters started with one person, right?
Yeah.
And I think we need to be very proactive and be able to participate, and especially the younger generation, I say. You know, they are rising to the surface. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I think we need to send the message like, we are fed up. We shouldn't be treated this way ever. And like, you know, my parents' generation, maybe like they weren't able to speak up, or they were afraid they might lose their job, or
I know.
didn't have like the English, or just didn't think they could, you know? But like me, as someone who knows my rights, who's been through the whole system and understands that this is exactly what systemic racism is, if we have to start speaking out, otherwise it's going to continue. We need to send a strong message that we will not accept this, because it's ridiculous. No matter how much education we get, how accomplished we are in our careers, or how successful even in our personal lives, we are still subject to this
Yeah.
in the public, in white spaces, you know? It's
Because
not
the
okay.
color of the skin.
Yeah, because of the color
yeah,
of our
the
skin, and people feel
And
that.
you can speak well, you can talk, you are professional, but still
Yeah.
you are not as good as the white skin, because they may not be nothing compared to where you are.
In their
But
eyes.
just because they have that skin privilege.
Yeah,
White.
and then she's abusing that privilege, you know? That's the real shameful part here. Is she's trying to abuse her privilege and her power. And that's where I have to speak up and say no.
And another thing I was thinking, if it's a man, maybe okay. But these are the sisters, these are women. You know, that's another thing that came to me, and I said, women treating women like that when the whole world is uproar about Black Lives Matters and anti-black, anti-Aboriginal, anti-everything. Where is she?
Yeah, but honestly, often white women are not in solidarity with women of color when it comes to feminism, you know? It's not like often, like this was a big critique of like feminism in the 60s and 70s where
Yes.
it was super white feminism where they were just trying to be like the men. So once they aligned themselves with that kind of power, then they would still take it out on us, right?
Yeah.
So
Their
that's
mentality is the same.
yeah, and we don't feel that same way. Like we want everyone to be raised up with us instead of white feminism. You know, they get success and then they kick the ladder down instead of raising us up with them. There is still this divide.
I was going to say that you went to the Delta police. They did the investigation. nothing came out of it, and now it's the investigation is taking place with the Surrey RCMP, and I think Vancouver Police is looking into that as well, right?
Yeah, so there's two separate things happening here. So because I complained to the Delta Police about the way they handled the case, I wasn't satisfied. Then automatically, when you file a complaint with the police department, they need to then send it out to an outside policing agency, in this case Surrey RCMP, who are now investigating my initial assault report. So that's good that it's being hopefully investigated the way it should have been, with the same thoroughness that we expect from our agencies. And then the second thing is, I also filed a complaint with the Office of the Police Complaints Commissioner on the conduct and misconduct, potentially, of the Delta Police Department. So what they do is then they send it out to an outside police agency, and it's the Vancouver Police Department who is in charge of that now.
Okay.
Which I do have reservations about still, because just a week or two ago, the police chief of the Vancouver Police Department said that there's no systemic racism in policing. So, how are people like us supposed to have any faith in these systems when they're just coming out and saying something that we know isn't true?
I know. So anyways, you have a lot of people behind you. You had held rallies, marches, and there are a lot of people that came there on the same spot. And she also, with her house, she wet you.
Yeah.
I mean, how awful and disgusting is that, right?
Yeah.
To another human being.
It was so dehumanizing.
Yes, yeah.
Like, you do that to an animal,
Even this animal, especially,
pest.
yeah.
You
treated much better than the way she treated you.
It was disgusting. I felt so bad, I just, soon as I got off those rocks, I was just crying and upset and hysterical and
just didn't know what happened here.
I was shocked that she sprayed me. Like, I couldn't believe that somebody would do that to another human.
Anyways, what message do you want to give? And we will wait for what comes out with Surrey RCMP, Vancouver Police, and the Commissioner of Police, see what they're coming. But I think people have to pay attention. It's not going to be underlined, and it's not going to go under the rug. I think it will be investigated, and let's see what the outcome. What message those people that face this every day, and they don't take it that serious, and they will say, what will one voice do? What would you like to say to them?
I think it's really important to speak up and speak out, and I feel very privileged that I am in a place in my career and life where I can speak out, and I understand that it's a privilege to be able to do so, and I know that everybody can't. But if you see an injustice, or if you are facing an injustice, I really encourage you to speak up. I will support you.
Yes.
And there will be a community who will support you. And if anybody needs help with that, I'm available to support you in any way I can.
And we will put your phone number on our screen, so that people that are going through that or feel that way, or maybe it doesn't matter how small or how big, that you can always call someone that have gone through that. And she's a teacher, and she would be able to, even if you're not able, you will definitely support or maybe guide you through different resources that one can go through.
Absolutely.
I think that sometimes we hear, we get scared with the system.
Or not knowing how to navigate these spaces, or which avenues we can pursue justice through. So definitely I can help with that.
Thank you so much, my dear.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming in and talking to our viewers, and I'll get you back again.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen, to be able to talk about it for what it is. And these are not all isolated incidents. It happens all the time. But the only difference is that Karen was not going to remain silent. The courage you give others to come out if you become the victim of racism. We have some events that are happening in your community that you may be interested in participating, so please get your pens and paper ready. If you're planning any event that you would like our show to advertise or be aware of in the community, please send it to asianpulse@gmail.com. Guru Nanak's Free Kitchen, in collaboration with One Voice Canada, is organizing Sunday Students Food Bank, starting every Sunday from July 5th. A variety of groceries, fresh produce, and bakery items will be distributed at Guru Nanak Sikh Gurdwara near Senior Centre parking lot from 12:30 until 2 p.m. For more information, please contact Hardeep Singh at 778-814-7054 or Harsahib Singh at 604-781-5687. Did you know 68 people in BC die each year at the hands of drunk drivers? For the whole month of July, the RCMP Municipal Police, in collaboration with ICBC, will be doing their annual summer roadblock. So please oblige the driving laws, slow down, and do not drink and drive. Fiji Canada Association is starting their karaoke night on every Friday from 6 p.m. until midnight. They'll be following the COVID-19 guidelines, and the first 50 people will be allowed entry. Samosas will be on sale, so for more information, please call Sri Chandra at 604-626-5264. Top song of the week is by Rajesh Chandra, and he would like to request from the movie called Kuch Na Kaho, Achhi Lagti Ho. Hope you enjoy the show too. We ran out of time for today's show, but I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I do bringing it to you. If you have any comments, suggestions, or story ideas, please email us at asianpulse@gmail.com or call us. The number is in our credits. But before I leave, today's parting quote is by the Dalai Lama. When we have inner peace, we can be at peace with those around us. When our community is in a state of peace, it can share that peace with neighboring communities, and so on. When we feel love and kindness towards others, it only makes others feel loved and cared for, but it also helps us also to develop our inner happiness and peace as well. With that, have a wonderful day. If you have missed today's show, you can always watch it again on Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. Goodbye for now. Take good care of yourself, and until we meet again next week.
Adnan,
For you.
how cute! Thank you so much. You're my sweetest friend. Thank you.
Only friend?
पल तो पल प्यार का आओ जी ले जरा आज नजरे मिला दे कल का किसको पता पल तो पल जिंदगी रहना है साथ साथ चल रही आज सांसें कल का किसको पता कभी लगता है अभी न बोलूं कभी लगता है अभी मैं कह दूं मेरी खामोशियां ये कहती कह तू है प्यार तुझसे ये अगर कह दिया रूठ जाओगी क्या तुम भी कुछ तो कहो ना कल का किसको पता पल तो पल प्यार का आओ जी ले जरा आज नजरें मिला दे कल का किसको पता कभी अपनों का कहना मानो, कभी सपनों का इशारा जानो। अब तो मेरी जान छुपाओ ना, कह दो है प्यार मुझसे। ये अगर कह दिया चैन आ जाएगा। प्यार है अब कहो ना, कल का किसको पता। पल दो पल प्यार का, आओ जी ले जरा। आज नजरें मिला ले, कल का किसको पता। पल दो पल प्यार का, आओ जी ले जरा। आज नजरें मिला ले, कल का किसको पता। पल दो पल प्यार का, आओ जी ले जरा। आज नजरें मिला ले, कल का किसको पता।